Would you love to be able to move without restriction, without limitation, without pain? Hi, I'm Rachel, the Booty Kicking Ballerina. And in this video, I'm going to share with you my intuitive mobility system and how you can do exactly that. Now, before we begin, I generally work with one of three different type of dancers. The first one is you might be experiencing pain when landing jumps. You might have your hip popping and hurting when you're lifting your leg, things like that that are more movement based. The next kind of dancer is that you have some kind of physical limitation in your body, something internally that holds you back or causes you pain. The third type of dancer is a dancer who might be recovering from an injury or still rehabbing an injury from years ago. If any of those sound like you, the good news is I can help. I understand what it's like to live with constant pain. I understand what it's like to get out of bed every morning and re-sprain your ankles and dance through it anyway. I understand what it's like to feel like, I don't know if I can keep doing this much longer, but I'm so afraid that my dream will go away. The good news is that does not have to be your life. Now, you've probably tried a bunch of different things. Let me see if any of these kind of resonate with you. You've probably sought out physical therapy if you've had an injury, which is absolutely what you should do, a very good place to start. You might have sought out a chiropractor. You might have sought out acupuncture or massage therapy. All of those are absolutely wonderful. The other thing you might have done is kind of been self-diagnosing on your own and going through mobility videos like mine on Instagram, which is great. I'm so glad you found me. But the danger in that whole self-diagnose piece is that we don't actually know the full picture of what's going on in your body, which is why an assessment can absolutely help. So most mobility programs that you sign up for, you get access to a library of videos and you can kind of choose your own adventure from there. Again, the piece that is missing is something custom tailored for your unique body. What if it didn't have to be that way? What if you didn't have to spend hours and get all of this equipment or have access to a gym all the time? Let's face it, if you're on the road, you probably don't. What if it didn't have to take, like I said, hours on end because you're already spending so much time in the studio? What if you didn't have to just put up with the pain? What if you could actually do what you love and dance pain-free and without limitations in a way that gets you lasting results? This is exactly what my intuitive mobility system can do for you. Now, before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about who I am, because you're probably wondering that right now and why you should listen to me. I was a professional ballet dancer about 25 years ago, and it was not listening to my own body that caused me to push it to the point where it literally fell apart and I couldn't dance anymore by the time I was 19 years old. In my journey of healing, I have learned so many tools and skills and modalities that helped me not only heal, but get back to a place of greater strength, mobility without the pain. I am also a NASM certified personal trainer, and I am an intuitive mobility coach. And it is my number one passion to help dancers avoid injury and perform at your personal best, pain free. As a dancer, I was basically taught my pain doesn't matter. What you feel doesn't matter. You know, the old adage, the show must go on. Just push through it. You're tough, tough it out. You know, you're an athlete, just push through it at all costs. And that is such a dangerous, dangerous philosophy that was sewn into me as a dancer. And I'm sad to see is still sewn into most dancers worldwide, though thankfully that is not always the case. Pain is a warning light that something in your body is off. And so if we stop to address it, just like when a warning light comes on in your car, if you ignore that warning light, what's going to happen? You're not going to give it the maintenance or the care that it needs, and things could get a lot more dangerous and a lot worse. The same is true in our bodies. So what I am passionate about first and foremost is tuning into your unique body. And that's what I mean by intuitive. What is your body telling you that it needs right now? What are the warning lights that are on? And then let's dig into it to really diagnose the root, because I don't believe in only treating the symptom, which by the way would be the pain, but the root, because when you get to the root, then you can actually solve the problem. Mobility means your body being free from limitation, free from restriction, free from pain to operate at its very best in every level. So now let's talk about my intuitive mobility system. The thing that differentiates my system from most other systems you might see out there is most, when it comes to mobility kind of exercises, go after either strength or flexibility, or maybe both. But there's a huge, huge component that they overlook that I didn't realize until I discovered I'd been overlooking it myself. And that has to do with our connective tissue, also known as fascia. Fascia runs throughout our bodies, and most people understand that there's connective tissue underneath our skin and around our muscles. But the truth is, there's also fascia inside the muscle fibers themselves, very, very tightly wound in there. And that can have a huge, huge impact on pain, injury prevention, and injury recovery. So, when it comes to fascia, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy on you for a second. There are three different types of fascia. There is fascia that acts like duct tape, fascia that acts like cotton candy, and fascia that acts like an ace bandage. As you can imagine, as we go through life, much less as dancers, as we push ourselves so intensely in physical exercise, that can get all bunched up and wadded up. And now all of a sudden we have what you call a fascial adhesion. So, for example, when you hear about having like a knot in your shoulder, it's not actually a knot in your muscle, and there's not actually a knot. What's happened is the fascia has gotten bunched up and created a fascial adhesion. And the reason there's pain is that it pulls things out of place and things are not in the order they should be, which means they're not laying properly. Now, that's one example, but this can also impact joint flexibility, joint strength, the stability of your skeletal system. This can impact your muscles. This can greatly impact your flexibility. So I hope you can see in just this little snapshot, and there's way, way more to it than that, but how fascia, how connective tissue plays such a vital role in improving the overall movement and mobility of the body. The second pillar has to do with strength optimization, because sometimes in our bodies, especially as dancers, we're using one muscle a lot and other muscles not as much. For example, if your hip flexors are tight, which is something that most dancers deal with at some point, did you know it might not actually be that your hip flexors are tight? They might be overworked. And what might that be coming from is that your glutes are weak. So we have these muscles in our bodies that are called agonist muscles, where they balance each other out. So in order for everything to be working in proper order and proper harmony in your body, we need to make sure that things are in proper balance. So if your glute muscles are not engaging and working properly, if they're weak, then what's going to happen is your hip flexors are going to overcompensate. This might result in an anterior pelvic tilt. This might result, again, in feeling like your hip flexors are gripping, which can also cause pain when lifting your leg, et cetera, and it goes on from there. So the first thing we really need to establish is looking at any muscle imbalances, what muscles actually do need to be strengthened and what muscles are tight. Because sometimes when we say muscles are tight, it's actually they're weak or the agonist muscle is weak. The third component is flexibility freedom. Again, when it comes to dancers, there's so much of an emphasis on flexibility, which is important, but I am not talking about doing oversplits. I think that a lot of times as dancers, we're encouraged to push our bodies too far to beyond what they're actually supposed to be capable of. Now, maybe your body is hyper flexible, in which case, more power to you. Let's help you get that strong and flexible so you have the strength so your body's not just a loose rubber band flapping around, okay? But when I say flexibility freedom, what I mean is, again, working with the connective tissue, working with the muscles that need to be strengthened, working with the muscles that need to be loosened so that your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments are operating at their very best when it comes to lengthening, which is really the definition of flexibility. So those three pillars are what I call the intuitive mobility system. And this is what I have seen for dancers get lasting results. Rather than just going after strength, rather than just going after flexibility, the exercise programs that I create for my clients include a fascia protocol, a strength optimization protocol, and flexibility freedom. And when we dial in all those three pillars, then we've given our unique body the tools that it needs to really operate at its best, free from limitation, free from restriction. And when everything is in proper order, proper alignment, and moving as it should, we're not going to have any warning lights. So therefore, we're not going to have any pain. So let me tell you some success stories of dancers this has worked for. So I have seen dancers, like I mentioned a minute ago, who are not able to get their splits with my protocol. I have seen figure skaters who were not able to get their spirals because their knees were completely turned in, be able to get their spirals, even when a physical therapist told them they thought that was impossible. And I have seen a beautiful, beautiful dancer who is a Joffrey trainee who came to me thinking she had Achilles tendonitis and was just going to have to deal with that and some weird shin pain she was having for the rest of her life. Guess what? In 1 week of working together and learning this intuitive mobility system, she no longer had any Achilles pain. And now we've been working together for a little longer, and her shin pain is almost completely gone too. And she can go through an entire day without pain. So there you have it. There is the intuitive mobility system. The three pillars that when paired together are what truly get to the root of the issue to free your body from the limitations, the hindrances, and the pain that it's been experiencing by getting to the root cause and providing lasting results. You can now take this information and go off and use it on your own. But if you would like help, if you would like guidance on your journey, I would be honored to do that for you. And let me explain how that works. So the first step is we get on an assessment call and I take a big look at the overall picture together. What's really going on in your body? Not only what are the warning lights, but what could be the root causes? From there, we look at what needs to be addressed first and create an action plan moving forward. And what that looks like is I create custom for you protocols that include the fascia, the strength, and the flexibility component working together in harmony to get lasting results for you through simple exercises that don't need a lot of special equipment, that don't even need access to a gym, that are completely flexible with your practice, rehearsal, and travel schedule, and can even be done in about 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the day before bed. You also have one-on-one access to me as your coach. So if any concerns arise, if something happened in class, you can message me through the app and I can get right back to you and we can address it right away so you don't have to deal with pain for days on end. If you're ready to move without limitation, free from pain, free from restriction, then let's do this assessment and get you started. I am so, so excited to dive in with you and help you avoid injury and move at your absolute best pain-free.